So a radio giant today signed off on the radio for one last time. Don Imus in the morning at around 7:20 Eastern this morning. The I-Man signed off the air, marking the end of a 50-year career in broadcasting and a lengthy run to the Imus in the Morning program, which was in its 11th year on WABC in New York. Obviously, it was on WNBC and WFAN. And the I-Man, through it all, fired a few times. Cleveland, Stockton, he's been everywhere. And whether you love him or you hate him, Don Imus, you cannot argue what this guy did in broadcasting. You cannot argue the success that he had. And you want to say that, oh, well, his talent wasn't that great. You know what? For a guy that didn't have any talent, he sure as hell did a lot with it. And I don't think that's entirely true either. I think Imus was entirely talented. And you can go through the whole thing that he stole stuff from Stern. Well, you know what? Stern stole stuff from people too. Stern ripped people off too. There were people doing that way before Howard Stern. Howard Stern just made it more mainstream. Everybody rips off everybody. In the entertainment business, the TV business, the radio business, they always do that. Does it suck? Yeah, but it happens. There are very few original concepts. But Don Imus, really, this is the end of an era in morning radio. And I remember my first time that I was subject to the Imus in the Morning program was my father was recording one of the Imus simulcasts on C-SPAN. And that's how I started to kind of get into Imus. I was 6 years old at the time. I was only 6. And for some reason, I was fascinated by the radio studio and all these things. If you really want to think of it, Imus in the Morning, watching that, kind of got me into radio. I was a 6-year-old kid just looking at this radio studio, these cameras in there, and just loving it. And the first Imus bit that I can remember that I fully enjoyed, understood, laughed at, wanting more was the Bob Dole bit that they did. And I forget who played Bob Dole, whether it was Larry Kenney or Rob Bartlett. But they did a tremendous skit where Dole was falling off of the scaffold and the stage, and it was incredible. And it's bits like that. And really, I posted a Facebook status today about it. Imus in the Morning, I haven't listened to it a lot in the last couple of years, and I will admit that the I-Man Mayor should have hung it up a long time ago. And I even think that he says that. And you hear him. He was going to quit after Charles McCord left. In came Colin McShane. He stood there for 6 more years. But since Colin left in December, it was inevitable. It was inevitable. But the Imus in the Morning program, really, it made me laugh on my worst days. Bernie with the Cardinal and Ray Nagin and all the other impressions that he did, and Bartlett and Kenny. And Imus himself, who was genuinely funny. And McCord and Ruffino and Sid and Mike Breen and everything about the Imus in the Morning program. I used to watch this show religiously, waiting for my parents to drive me to school, watching it on MSNBC. And then on Fox Business. I'm a big fan of the I-Man. I'm one of those guys that are a big fan of Stern and Imus. And I was listening, while I was working, you can do a thing where you can, in what I do at my radio station this morning was manning the board, but also you can plug in a jack where you can listen to your computer. So I had the speakers on as loud as I could in my radio studio. And then I had one headphone piece in my ear so I can listen to the final show. And he signed off early, signed off at around 7:20, and they just played best ofs the rest of the way. And I was in awe. I was just in awe of what Imus said this morning, and we have it for you. This is Don Imus saying farewell on his radio show this morning, March 29, 2018, the end of an era for the Imus in the Morning program. Take a listen.
That was June 1st, 1968 in Palmdale, California.
Wow.
So I actually talked over the intro. I was so nervous. It's a cold open, you know. Before I get started here, I do need to mention Michael Lynn and Robert Andrews and Don Imus. Particularly Deirdre. You know how when you love somebody, but then you get this feeling in your chest, and you can actually feel it in your heart? That's the way I feel about her. And the role that she's played in my life is just gonna stop it. So, and the same with Michael Lynn. And Robert Andrews, who I talk to almost every day. So I've talked about them through the years, and you know. I think you have a good idea what they mean to me, and I just wanted to mention. I might be remiss if I didn't mention Vinnie Andrews. He's the reason I don't ever have to work again, ever. So. And Esther Newberg was great, and she's a great agent, and she'll make one more deal. Come on, baby. She'll make one more deal. And the great Martin Garbus, one of the great trial attorneys in history of jurisprudence. I remember when I got in all that trouble. He didn't know whether he wanted to take the case or not. He didn't know who I was. He didn't. Was I a racist or a bigot or all that? Well, he interviewed me. And of course, he discovered I wasn't and took the case, and we won, obviously. So let me just, I don't know how if I can get through this or not. You know, I'm going to do the best I can. But I'll tell you what I've been thinking about. I thought I was going to have some more time to think about what this meant, stopping doing this. But I didn't, and it's good. Because somebody said, well, are you going to miss this? And I didn't have an answer. But I do now. I'm not going to miss doing the Imus and Wayne program. It's been a lot of fun, but, man, it's hard to do. I mean, everybody on this program will tell you, it's hard to do. And it was hard to do when Charles was here. And when Charles left, I mean, I really thought that was it. I'm sure you did too. And then here comes Connell. So we got another 5-6 years out of this bitch, you know. But there's no more left. So, but I'm not going to miss that. I mean, we did. I mean, I know this in my heart. I've always thought this. There's been nobody ever better on the radio than me, and I mean that. And I'm not patting myself on the back or anything. I'm just telling you, I'm telling you how it is. Nobody ever did this. Nobody. But it wasn't me who did it. And this may sound patronizing, but you know me and you know it's not. You know what I'm going to miss? I'm going to miss you. Because it was great. It is great to get all excited about something, like a record or a book or just some event, or, you know, Wyatt did something or Zach did something, you know, come in here and tell you about it. Because you were the one, and I don't know who you is, you know, but I always thought, and I still think I'm talking to one person. But I never decided who that person was. I didn't know if you were a male or a female or how old you were or what. But I just knew that there was one person there that I talked to and that would listen to me. You know, Did or Wyatt or Zach or Michael Lynn or Robert Anderson, none of these people. It's not the same thing. They don't want to hear about Alger Hiss, but you did. And look what we did. I mean, look what we did. I asked you, take the ranch, for example. I was talking to Dick Grasso, my friend from the New York Stock Exchange. We'd already bought the ranch with my own money. I said, how in the hell am I going to raise enough money for this ranch? He said, well, why don't you sell commemorative acres? I said, how much? He said, well, 5,000. Somebody got to give me 5,000 for an acre that they don't own? What are you, nuts? And so I remember sitting there in Southport, Connecticut. What did I said, God, how am I was going on here the next morning trying to raise money for the ranch? So I thought, this is insane. Do you know that we could not take the phone calls fast enough? The lines were jammed selling acres at $5,000 an acre. Do you know that first morning we raised almost $5 million? You and I did that? Remember that? You did that. You gave me that money. And the next morning, you gave me another $4.5 million. What, are you crazy? Every time I asked you for something, you gave it to me. You did that. Remember when Bill White came to us and the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund? Remember when we went to Walter Reed? Bernie remembers that. Saw those young people with no arms and legs, and they wanted to go back. You know why they wanted to go back? They wanted to go back to fight, not for their country, for each other. You gave me $200 million at least. Every time I asked you for something, you said, all right, here. And when look at the times I got fired. Look, I got fired in the 70s. I went back to Cleveland. And you went back with me. And then we came back to New York, didn't we? Yeah, we did. And then I got fired again. And you were there with me then? Starting to sound like a real pussy, aren't I? He says, I got to get this together. So I'm going to miss you and talking to you. And what you did for me and what you've done for this country. Look at the Imus Ranch. What you did for this kid. That was you. I mean, there's been some wonderful things said about me. And I know I sound like a jerk, but they're right. I mean, there's nobody's ever done what I've done, ever. But you do understand that I understand that it wasn't just me. I mean, you understand that. That it was you and me. We did that. We did all of it. I'm going to miss that. I mean, I'll see you out on the road, you know, at the rodeo or wherever I am. I'm going to do one more big thing. Remember that? You know, I don't. You know, I've never told you anything I didn't do. But thank you. I know you're going to miss me. But man, you have no idea. You have no idea how much I'm going to miss you. I wrote this down, and I want you to remember this. We were neither dissuaded nor diminished by the intellectually, morally, and ethically crippled losers, the likes of a racist, bigoted civil rights charlatan, or the insecure, envious shock jock all howling in a chorus of like-minded yapping mutts lost in the dust of the caravan, rolling by on the road to greatness. Rolling by on the road to greatness. We did that. You did that. I did that. That's what we did. You goddamn right. That's what we did.
And that was Imus in a really, really emotional sign-off. And I'm not going to lie, I got a little teared up listening to that. Because he made it really personal. And really for the first time ever on this show, you genuinely felt that he truly never took a listener for granted. And that was just tremendous stuff. And what you heard was Imus dropping the mic. And that was no accident. That was on purpose. After that monologue, after that farewell speech, it was Don Imus dropping the mic. And how appropriate was that he would end, the final thing that you would hear Imus do would be dropping the radio mic. And I just want to thank Don Imus for an incredible run. He has had a tremendous career in broadcasting. And Imus in the Morning certainly was a staple in morning radio, not only in New York, but across the country. And it will be missed. And again, it is an end of an era this morning. Not only in New York morning radio. And I think Bernie and Sid will do rather well in that slot, and I'm looking forward to listening to them on WABC. But the end of an era this morning. And you can love him and you can hate him. And you can focus on the Rutgers stuff and you can focus all that. At the end of the day, this man employed a lot of people. He did a lot of stuff for the veterans. He did a lot of stuff for sick children. And deep down, in all these years that he's given off this vibe of being this tough guy, shock jock, the man has a heart. And if you didn't get emotional listening to that, then you have no heart. An incredible run by an incredible broadcaster. Don Imus, you will be missed. Quack, quack.
Imus in the morning.